Welcome to the George's FTTV YouTube channel, and today we'll discuss strategy for 2024. So a little bit of general strategy, a little bit of individual plays and whatnot. And yeah, I've got a bunch of topics here, maybe 5 or 6, maybe more to go over, and just general thoughts. And yeah, new rules this year, which makes it interesting and definitely changes the way we play a little bit. Certainly the best 18s and the way we pick our team with the buys and, more trades. Does that mean we take on more risk? Maybe, but regardless, we'll go over a few things. So this is my team as it stands. It changes, like I just reveal my team every video. It just changes every time, but I think I'm like tossing up between Bont and Merritt, Merritt and Petrarca. I don't know what Petrarca's forward split's going to be, but if it's mid-time without Oliver, it could be great, but has a buy as well. So I'm tossing up like this could be like a Jack Steele in the midfield. It could be Amon, could be Nick Martin. Probably one of those four with Sheasel here, but he's in for now. It's just preseason team, and maybe Muddy Hoare plays and we just put him at D6 and grab a mid. So that's for another story, but regardless, we'll go over a few topics and yeah, should be good. So we'll discuss the new rules first up. So 40 trades and best 18s. So obviously we know it's sort of hard to pick a lot of these players with the buys. I've got Flanders, Gordon, Grundy. Don't have Dacos, so I'm trying to limit, just trying to get as much points on the board as possible. Because if you have a player that, if someone else has Sam Walsh, for example, and you have a player without a buy who's around the same price and matches Sam Walsh, well, that player, unless they fluke a rookie score somehow, they're going to be behind by, 30, 40 points. So the more buy players you have, the more you give up. So for that reason, Walsh will probably outperform a lot of the players at his price, but no guarantees. There's a lot of quality, like a Brayshaw, Rosie, Sarong sort of range. Well, the Rosie's had a bit of a dodgy preseason, but I understand where I'm coming from, so I don't want to give up points where I don't have to. Whereas, I've got Flanders here, and if we can get Sweet to cover Gordon and Grundy, then we won't be giving up too much, given their value as well. I've got Flanders here because I just don't know who to pick. I was watching Hawthorn match sim today, and Dylan Moore's with the forwards, Connor McDonald's with the forwards. And Dusty's playing good, but he could be forward. He's been up and down and older now, but maybe one to look at later. But it's just hard to pick someone. McRae with the hamstring, I die on the hill. I don't pick players that do hamstrings in preseason. I guess if they're severely underpriced, like English was, lesson learnt there, but not players that I weren't confident in the first place with McRae. So, not saying it's the right way to play, it's just how I will play. And just because it didn't work last year doesn't mean it'll work this year. So, 40 trades. Does that mean, I guess a question you could ask yourself is it a guns and rookies year, or because more trades, more mid prices? And the way I see it is I'm undecided, because if the rookies, a rookie could score in line with a mid pricer, especially this year. You look at like a Muddy Hoare, 122 in the VFL. Sharp's done 90 in the VFL for fantasy. I don't know what it was for SuperCoach. Finn McRae's done 95, I think, plus in the VFL, and Larry's getting a bit of mid-time. So, whereas, your Sardis, your James Jordan, and whoever else is at that price range could end up hanging on a wing. Whereas these guys might get better roles. So, in terms of guns versus rookies, and, more mid-prices for best, for 40 trades now, I would like to understand and we'll see in preseason, the availability of the rookies, the quality of them, and what role do these mid prices get, and does it look like it will hold? So yeah, like a James Jordan, for example. So I'm not really thinking of it as guns and rookies. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of where is the quality, how much do I think these players will score, how much is upside, and then sort of work out on a spreadsheet points per dollar. Because for example, if Sharp averages 70 and he's priced at 20, well, it's hard to find a mid-pricer with 50 points upside. So you're maximizing points per dollar by putting Sharp or Roberts or whatever on the field. So if that's what you think that they will average. And, Roberts playing halfback apparently. I'm not sure that holds. I think he's a mid. But, yeah, we'll figure this out. And like for example, Trezise is another one. Sort of, he's probably rookie, I guess, 207k. Budarick is there as well. They're getting kick-ins, so we're looking for where the upside is and trying to understand the upside by looking at where the stat boost comes from. So, yeah, Trezise junior numbers weren't massive, or VFL numbers weren't massive, but he took kick-ins in the last game. Budarick took kick-ins, so to get a 200k, 300k player on kick-ins in a distributor role, I guess Trezise will be the third banana, but that's another thing. So that's something we'll figure out. But so long story short, we're just trying to figure out what everyone's going to average, and then we'll chuck them into a team. So it might be more a guns and rookies approach. It might not. It just depends. But I like the quality potential of the rookies at this stage, and I'm very uncertain on the mid prices. So yes, probably not huge help there in terms of is it guns and rookies or mid prices, but yeah, we'll see what the quality looks like. At the moment, leading guns and rookies and stabilizing the forward line, maybe with a James Harms who's had good preseason reports. Bit of inside time, bit of half forward. How much inside time that is, I'm not sure, not confident. It's going to be a lot. But he, for me, ticks the most boxes. Has the scoring history, has the good preseason, change of club, fresh start, looking good. So, but yeah, still very early. So we'll see on that. All right, next topic is, I suppose it's similar to what I just discussed, but maximizing points per dollar. Now, M1 and M2, we're not maximizing points per dollar here, and we're probably not maximizing it at D1 or D2 either. So that's 4 slots where if someone else has players that are premiums here that are maximizing points per dollar and they can get like a better M8 or something, then I'll probably lose to those in the early stages. But the way I like to play, I don't mind paying a little bit overs for players, even though it's, if it works out for other people that have more upside for the overall team, then I'll lose to them. But I don't mind copping that small hit if it means I get a bit of assurance of they're going to be top 8 of their position or they're going to be a captain option. So for example, Bond is very expensive. I'm not attached to him at all. I'll flick him if I feel the need, if I need money. But we know that he's probably going to be M1, M2, M3. We know that he's a good captain option. He's got a high floor. We know he's still 28. And his preseason since Christmas has been really good. So, whereas you look at a lot of these other guys like a Walsh and like a Tom Green and stuff, like they're great and they're young and they're really good. They've had, they've done injuries the past 2 years, whereas Bond's basically had no major injuries. He's plays through them if he gets them, plays well, like still averages 120 when he's injured and whatnot. Can cop some knocks, but regardless, no soft tissue or anything like that. So you get that durability built in, you get the captain option built in and stuff like that. So I see like a premium from a holistic point of view where it's not all just about price for me. It's also about, as I spoke about, captaincy, durability, likelihood that they're going to have to be traded out because they're not top of position, stuff like that. And buy as well. So, a lot of people would have been, Walsh would have been much easier decision. I guess even Tom Green, the durability, just how he finished last year was unreal for SuperCoach. So, yeah. So that for that reason, I'm trying to maximize points per dollar in as many positions as I can. But, I'm not sure on for example, I'm picking from Sisterly, Stewart, Sheasel, Young, Dacos. They're my 5 defenders that I've already decided on. I don't think that'll change over preseason in terms of premiums. So whether I start 2 of them or whether I start 4, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see how that goes. I know I'll be starting Hayden Young, and I like Tom Stewart's early fixture. Whereas mids, I guess there's lots of options here you could replace these guys with. So, long story short, I'd like to think of it from a holistic point of view. And there's a few players I'm also thinking about that I'm sort of worried that I don't own. And one is sort of Sheasel, if I don't pick him, just because if he gets that pure halfback role, he can do 105, 110. Still, we'll see what happens when Zach Fisher comes back in. And you got McKercher back there too. I mean, how many plays can they run that aren't, they actually have to defend. So how many plays can they run back there? In the midfield, I'm concerned about no LDU for sure. Durability obviously was awful last year. But the upside is Yeah, I think for me, I'm taking a more durable option over LDU, but I didn't realize when I did the numbers that he had interruptions after round 2, basically, and then from rounds 1 to 2, and then had all interruptions throughout the year, like missed 1, missed 2 there, missed like 4 there with a hamstring, and then from I think it was 17 to 22, so there's an 8 games where it was pretty much uninterrupted, including 1 and 2, and then 17 to 22. He averaged 131, and I looked at that, I was like, oh crap. I mean, if he gets a clean run, could he average 125 plus, 130 even? It's not impossible, so I'm concerned about not owning him. I'm thinking that Wardlaw improves maybe one of Powell or who's the other one? Powell, Phillips, Lazaro. Probably sounds like Powell is the one that's doing the best at the moment, but maybe Simpkin back in there, Taron Thomas if he plays. Maybe these guys can actually eat into LDU score a bit, because if you look at the scoring from North last year, like nobody scored anything outside of LDU in terms of the midfield. I think Thomas averaged 90, but a lot of those games were when LDU was out through the middle of the year, and like Simpkin scored nothing, and Wardlaw was like terrible tog, and Phillips was in and out the side. So there was nothing. Yeah, nobody scored anything. So I'm thinking that might eat into LDU, but he's still the number 1 guy there. So I'll skip. And then Sam Walsh as well. Full preseason, what can he do? He talks about his back issue on Dylan Friends, I think. Maybe 15 minutes in, something like that. And just spoke about it can take 12 to 24 months to get back to normal. But at least this year, he said he had no preseason last year. This year, he's had a preseason. That's going to make a massive difference. So he does like Pilates and stuff like that. So whether his back's going to be 100% this year, I'm not sure. But it's going to be like he'll be far better this year, clearly. So he's another one I'm sort of worried about not owning. I guess with the buy, it's not as bad because you get a bit of relief in that second round, and he's one that people will look to jump on. But I think there's just enough good options in the midfield that you can pick someone who goes close to him. Petrarca, I'm slightly concerned if I don't pick him. I know he has the buy, but just reading the preseason reports on Petrarca, he's like the best trainer and performer by a very long way from the sounds of it this preseason. And he's done like combat sports and stuff, so I'm excited to see that in the off season. So to help with this game. So excited to see Petrarca. I really want to pick him over Merritt. But the buy, and I just worry about, do they see him as a 60-40, 50-50 mid forward from now on? Is that what he is, or is he a 75-80% mid? And I'm kind of thinking they want him forward based on how they finished last year. So with that combination with the buy, I probably won't pick him, but man, I think he'll go nuts some games. But he looks so good last year. It was crazy. Average 120 playing like heaps forward. So we'll see what happens with Oliver. What have we got next? Another strategy I'm thinking about is buy flipping in the last buy round. So buy flipping early. I guess a few people are considering, do I pick a GWS player with a North and West Coast matchup, and then do I go to a Sam Walsh? I'm probably not going to do that, because in round 2 or round 3, whenever it is, or round 3 it'll happen, I'm probably going to need corrections. So I don't really want to but I don't know if it's worth a trade. I'd rather just start Sam Walsh and cop. If you really want Walsh that bad, I'd rather just start him and cop a 30-40 point hit. And I think a trade is worth more than 30-40 points, especially early on. So I don't like that, but I think the Matt Crouch play, there's others with this last buy. Let's have a look. It's round 15, I think. Hawks, Saints, Crows, can't think. Richmond. So like a Matt Crouch, he could be one. Matt Crouch is an interesting one. I don't think he has a ceiling to be like top 10, top 12, just because the time on ground's never going to be high enough. But I think he won't be too far off, and he's having a great preseason, and he's one I want to hold all throughout the bye. And we've got all these trades, what are we using him for? If we can have a completed team by round 14, try and manufacture that somehow, And then in round 15, if we can flip a Matt Crouch and maybe somebody else, flip another premium, assuming we don't have to do any more upgrades, so we'll have a full team after the bye, we could be looking at an extra, I don't know, depends if you're getting a donut or not, but maybe like 60, 70, it could be 60 to 120 points per trade. I know I traded in Ben Keys when I was going to get a donut in the last buy last year, and wasn't the greatest pick, but I think he averaged like 80, 85 for me, which wasn't too bad for his price. And he got me a 120 instead of a donut in that last buy round, which was pretty massive. So that's one to look at. So Matt Crouch is an option where you can do that. I'm planning that with him. So using those extra trades, turning him into points. Fingers crossed he makes it to the bye because he's had a few injuries over the journey, but had a pretty clean run the past 2 years. Maybe like a Jack Steele, if you're worried about him, but I think, yeah, it sounds like he's much fitter. Hawthorn player, I guess, maybe a Newcomb if you see fit. I'm not confident enough in Newcomb to pick him. A Carl Amon, maybe. Not too sure. So heaps of players that you can look at. I think Gorn, no, he's a second class buy. Think any other Saints, probably not. Maybe Nesai, Wanganeen, Miller, but he's got a good fixture after that, so you probably hold him after that. So a few things to consider there. So buy flipping, at the moment, I'm not seeing anyone, like maybe a Steele and Matt Crouch would be the two, depending on how they go and whether they're worth keeping or not. But that is another thing. All right, the forward line strategy. I did a whole video on this the other day, and trying to list a bunch of candidates that could help fill out our forward line. So the way I'm playing the forward line at the moment is when I'm not sure, and I did this in 2021 and I got off to a good start, is when you're not sure, you don't pay much, because if your rookies are doing their job scoring 50s and they're there, then you can make the rest of the team look as pretty as you want, just about. And you get the plays you want in the ruck, you get the plays you want in defense, you get the plays in the midfield. And all you got to do is have rookies in the forward line that get you 50s. Which still is probably bleeding a little bit, or bleeding a bit of points, but we'll get those best 18s early on to help us guide us through that. So I don't think the cost will be that bad, because if I've got four plays dropping off here, it's probably F6, maybe M8, like maybe one of these two. So I guess maybe Finn as well, could be sub risk. So maybe Jordan Street plays and whatnot, and Caulfield if he plays won't be the worst scorer. Sharp will be okay. Mana if he plays will be great. So chuck him on field for now. So yeah, not too bad. At least with rookies over mid prices, you're getting the premiums you really want, which helps. Whereas you might need to take a haircut on your premiums if you're going mid prices. And if you hit, that's great. But if you don't, then it's problems. So having a stable team is important, and going guns and rookies, I think this year, we'll see how strong the rookies are eventually. We'll just stabilize the team a lot more because you have more stable premiums, more durable, more proven, and stuff like that. So the cheaper you go, the more risk there is, generally, as a general rule. So yeah, at the moment, no premium forwards appeal to me besides Flanders, and then Harms and Billings. Sort of done it in the past, new club, new fresh, whatnot. So yeah, not willing to spend much there. In terms of players that are really good timing to get them in, I know the Saints post-buy have a lot of, or like through the middle of the year and post-buy, their Marvel games really ramp up. So that's Jack Sinclair. So he's one I'd look at. And I think he has the last buy. So he's one I'm looking at pretty heavily as an upgrade target once he has that Marvel run. I guess Marvel, it's under the roof, like perfect conditions, easier to ping it around. So I guess that's the logic there. And then Zach Merritt I have in my starting team. I've heard Finn McGuinness is injured at the moment. So if he's named round 1, I'll have to jump for sure. But round 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that, or like before round 8 or round 7, he has West Coast, North, and Richmond. So I'm not expecting those sides to do a lot of damage this year. Richmond, new coach, a bit unknown, but the Dogs are mostly, North are mostly kids, and West Coast are a mess still. So he's a great one to target there. And also, I guess, Dacos as well. His fixture early on is hard, but all the MCG games start to come a bit more after his round 6. So if you don't have Merritt, which most of you won't, Merritt has high priority in round 7. Sinclair, middle of the year, high priority once the Marvel games start. and Nick Dacos post-buy, if you're not starting him, I think you got to drop a lot of things to get him, because he's one that can get out of control. And we've saw players like Petrarca just was so hard to get. Sicily, like, you had to get him before the role change. Otherwise, I think he went like a 170 and then another massive score and then bloody got suspended. But yeah, these guys can get away from you pretty quick. So they're ones where the windows might not be super long to get them in. So that's why Dacos after his buy, and then Merritt as well, and Sinclair. So those are the three I'm targeting for fixtures. But otherwise, not too worried about, like, not massively about fixtures, because the quality of the player is more important. But you can see the opportunities there with those sort of players. Another strategy, maybe final one, the Ruck line. So, do you pivot if Sweet's named as the R1 for Port? Do you pivot to him at R2? Maybe like if Finn Malley plays R3, probably not going to score anything. Maybe like average 40 or something, but might get some ruck minutes, who knows, or might not even play. But, you know, Sweet looks really good. 110 average in the VFL for fantasy. Do you run him at R2? And do you run a Cherry? I'm not a fan of Cherry. I just think Gordon Grundy just proven, just so good, all Australians. Cherry's like, I guess Gordon's durability's tapered off a bit, but Gordon's Zeri's is pretty terrible. So I think I'm definitely Gordon Grundy for now, or Gordon Grundy almost for sure, with Sweet at R3 if he plays. But the interesting thing, well, what happens if Gordon Grundy goes down? Do you pivot to, you got Briggs there? Do you pivot to Marshall? Do you pivot to English? So that'll be an interesting one, and it will add a bit of diversity into the game. I kind of like Marshall. English apparently sharing a bit with Lob, and also limited preseason sort of worries me a bit with that. I feel like he's a concussion away from an extended period of time, like months out from the game. But we'll see. Hopefully not. So we'll see what happens there. We'll just let English play out. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking for strategy this year. I'm trying to think if I want to talk about anything else. In terms of keepers, I think it's sort of the new age thinking. I guess Selby sort of brought this in where you're not too worried about keepers. Just worried about price. I do like having less problems. Like when you think of the team holistically, like the more players you plan on keeping for the year that you have, the less you have to worry about them. So yeah, you're always going to have other stuff going on. So, you know, if you pick in like an underpriced premium that could lose their role or something like that or whatnot, you're probably not going to pick him in the first place if that happens. But I just like having less issues with the team so I can keep progressing the team forward. And I do feel like having more premiums does that. So, or that you're confident in. So for me, I like 12, including a Matt Crouch who I'll flip, most likely. Even Gordon Grundy, I mean, I guess they'll probably have to be flipped as well. So want to make sure we get that team finished by 14, and having more keepers will enable you to do that. But at the same time, you might sacrifice a bit in points per dollar doing that. But I guess each to their own how you want to play. So yeah, I do like playing the game, just not just points and price, but everything else that comes with it. I do like considering that. And maybe that's why my best finishes have been 300 a few times and 400, because I don't play for the absolute upside. And that's something for me to ponder, but we'll go again with the strategy. And yeah, that's about it. Probably the last thing I want to discuss, this is very important, is I'm definitely focused on getting off to a good start. I don't want fake premiums, and I'm pretty confident in every player I have here. I guess Brayshaw might have a CBA drop potentially with that squeeze they've got in the midfield, and Sheasel's still a bit unknown with the role, but he's sort of a placeholder anyway. But I want to be confident in the team to get off to a good start, and I tried to focus on this. You know, I've got to have enough underpriced players. I think I've got 26 underpriced players, potentially 27 with Stewart in the injury game. So having only 3 players, I think, potentially overpriced is, like, I don't think it can't really be a disaster. Surely not. So I want to get off to a good start in a AFLW. I got off to a good start, and season went okay. I finished 200th. Had no cash gen, and then in BBL, did stuff up my rookies there, but In BBL, I think I finished 300, and I did focus a lot on value, but also focused on players with the right role in BBL. So anyone that had like a really good role, like batting and bowling, I just got them in, and preferably higher order in the batting and stuff. Even though I didn't watch a lot of BBL, the idea was pick the players with the best role, and pick value, but also picked I wasn't afraid to pay up for players that were really good given the short season. So focus on having a good start for sure. Don't want to be left behind, and you want to kind of figure out which players can hurt you. Do you want them in your team, and do you have a plan B to get them in if they might get away from you? But round 0 will help us there a lot. So bit of a rambling video in terms of strategy, very unstructured, but to summarize, and we'll wrap it up in a sec. To summarize, look at players. I like to look at players from a holistic point of view. I still consider durability and provenness. Buy flipping players, Matt Crouch is my one at the moment. Maybe Jack Steele. They have the last buy, so I hold them to the buy. Use those extra 40 trades to get points on that last buy. Not going to spend much in the forward line. Not spending what I'm uncertain of, but maybe things will pop up. Limiting buy players, just Flanders, Gawn, Grundy, extreme value. I think so, like very good value, so offsets the buy. And what else did we cover today? Not sure on guns and rookies. Leaning guns and rookies at the moment, but more looking at players on how much money they can make and what they'll score. So yeah, comparing rookies and putting rookies and mid prices in the same bucket, and who's going to make more money basically. So yeah, Merritt in round 8, he's got the good run. Sinclair post-buy with all the Marvel games, and Stewart I'm starting round 1 with the easy first 5 rounds. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and if you have any thoughts on your own strategy, let me know and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.